Hello, my name is Emily, and today I'll be presenting the benefits of biodynamic viticulture. So probably in the last couple months, some of you have bought a bottle of wine that was labeled organic, but have probably never heard of the term biodynamic. Today, I'll be walking you through, very briefly, the concept of biodynamic wines. Moving forward, I'll introduce why so many wineries are now forced to farm biodynamically. And secondly, I'll show you how biodynamic is the path to a healthier sales and an eco-friendly future. So firstly, I'll start off by saying that my first ever job was at a biodynamic certified winery, and that I've traveled to Burgundy and Champagne meeting with biodynamic producers and tasting the wines that are fantastic and passionate producers that really care for the vineyard's health and for high quality wine. So what is biodynamic? Well, simply put, biodynamic is a whole step ahead of organic. So in the pyramid of eco-friendly wineries, you have sustainable. Sustainable is, let's say, saving on water, saving on light and electricity. Organic, which means no use of pesticides, or very few. And biodynamic, which is actually a spiritual, ethical, and ecological agriculture. This really is not only looking at the vine as just a plant, but looking at it as its connection with its roots and the soil, as well as the connection with the moon, the stars. Now it has different types of preparations which help the vineyard's health, but it was very simply put, I think very well put, by Eric Asimov from the New York Times, a very famous food and wine critic, as he mentioned that natural or biodynamic wine is produced without the use of preservatives, fertilizers, industrial yeast, and pesticides. Biodynamic was created in the 1920s by Rudolf Steiner and now is really jumping back into our vineyards. But why is that? Well, all of that started in the mid-19th century. In the mid-19th century, we moved away from natural farming into the era of power-driven machine, pesticides, chemical sprays, and a very unhealthy approach to viticulture. This era was the industrial era. What we were doing is that we were actually spraying so much chemicals that our soils were now absorbing these chemicals and these very dangerous toxins and putting them back now into our wines. We were creating stronger sprays just to try to kill the bacteria that we were in fact creating. And we were ruining our soils so much that now they lacked minerals and they lacked any type of health in the vineyard. The bugs were dying, life was dying, and flowers were not coming anymore. It was really dead vineyards. And as we say, we can't beat Mother Nature. In fact, years of poisoning our vines finally caught up to us. We noticed that we were poisoning the vineyards, but actually poisoning our own wines. In 2015, CBS reported that an experiment of 1,300 bottles of wine, almost a quarter of them had higher than allowed permitted levels of arsenic. Now this was 5 times the amount allowed for drinking water. Now, it was only 5 parts per billion, or 10 parts per billion. But that amount is harmful if you drink 1 bottle a day for a couple years. So to keep in mind that we are actually poisoning ourselves through the wine that we are producing. We've also seen this case in a lot of southern French wines from Bordeaux, which actually have a lot of humidity and you need to spray a lot to protect the vines. We were seeing that go into our wines that we were consuming. A study showing that vintages from the 2007 and 2008 vintage, meaning when we harvest the grapes, that 90% of the wines were actually traced to chemicals. And those chemicals were the same chemicals that we were using to treat the vines. So they were finally showing back up into the wines. Now, all of this is why, a lot of these health concerns is why biodynamic is now reintroduced into our vineyards, that farmers are looking at biodynamic farming as an alternative to what we are doing now to our vineyards, which is spraying and lots of chemicals and using short-term approaches and not using a long-term approach to the health of our vineyard. So when we looked at this was very damaging And that was all that happened about in the 1920s. So all this damage is now catching up to us, and which brings me to my second point, the point of terroir. So a lot of the time when we're looking at thousands of different wine brands in the world, what makes your brand unique? A lot of people are turning towards biodynamic viticulture as their unique point of sales. Top producers such as Domaine Leroy in Burgundy, Beaucastel in Rhone, Pingus from Spain are some great examples of high-end wineries that are all biodynamic certified, that use this as their point of sales to make themselves unique from eco-friendly or even organic wine producers. These producers are high-end wine that are highly acclaimed in the market, and that also try to use biodynamic as trying to increase their price, but also trying to catch the new group of people that are understanding of eco-friendly wines. In 2009, there was over 530 natural and biodynamic certified wineries, and it's growing quickly. These producers are looking for, let's say, terroir-driven wines. What is the idea of terroir? Well, terroir actually means wines that represent the environment, wines that represent where they're from. So if I taste a bottle of wine, for example, I should be able to see that unique quality in the soil that makes that wine unique. A little bit complicated. But in fact, biodynamic really is trying to express the element of terroir, the element that you are not using sprays, that you are not using chemicals, and that you are encouraging the vine to showcase where it's from. On a sales point of view, the demand for organic produce is increasing in food and in wine. In 2015, a report from the Global Organic Foods and Beverage Market Analysts looked at the whole market and saw that right now we are increasing the value of organic produce. So the forecast that the global organic produce and beverages used to be in 2010 a $57.2 billion industry, and in 2015 was a $104 billion industry. Every year it raised 12.8% growth, and in about 6 years grew over 100%. Now this was all in a period of economic crisis, so the demand for organic produce is very strong and is likely to be stronger, and so is the case for biodynamic produce. Nonetheless, winemakers can also charge over 10 to 30% higher on their wines for biodynamic wines. This means that they get to have a higher portion of sales and profit, and also the consumer is willing to pay higher amount for a biodynamic wine. So biodynamic, to conclude, is actually making its way back into our vineyards after years of spraying chemicals that are poisonous both for us and also for the vines. Producers are looking to get right back into the essence of terroir. They want to bring back life and real taste into the wines, and people are ready to pay a premium for quality biodynamic wines. People believe in this eco-friendly viticulture, and they know that it's not only beneficial for the land, but beneficial for them. Thank you.